Hey everybody, this is Dan,
And this is Ron.
and this is a nominee questionable movies. And this week we have yet another very special guest, continuing our long string of very special episodes. We've been going on longer than the original Degrassi now. We have, of course, Kevin from the Video Underground in Jamaica Plain, one of the last video rental stores in the United States. It's like it's you, the Blockbuster, and that guy out in Portland, right? There's like maybe two or three others.
There are a few others. There are a few kind of like most of the metro areas still have kind of like a thing that kind of keeps itself going. But yeah, there's still there's still Scarecrow. Scarecrow closing would be kind of like that'd be the one of the 3,000th shoe to drop, but it would probably be the heaviest one. Losing Family Video recently I thought was rather amusing, but it's a labor of love, and thankfully our food and drink stuff goes a really long way to making the movie stuff sustainable more or less indefinitely.
Well, Ron actually was telling me before we got on about a rumor that supposedly a lot of video stores. I mean, do you want to explain it, Ron?
Sure. I just ran across this article. Actually, a friend of mine sent it to me. It's from 2010. Video rental stores' bizarre survival strategy. 35% of independents now have tanning beds.
So I guess our first question, the reason why we brought you on here is the Video Underground going to get a tanning bed?
We are not going to get a tanning bed. That was always an extremely common thing, though, and a lot of I remember even probably like 2006, 2007, a lot of mom and pop video stores were just becoming like tanning places because that was much more of a revenue driver on some level. But it kind of makes sense because you've got all this square footage that essentially makes no money for huge portions of the day. So yeah, tanning beds, I think that makes sense. Family Video's real genius was in buying or even constructing the buildings they were in. Family Video in the Midwest would have huge real estate holdings because they were often the landlords in those strip malls and in those, kind of little, it'd have like a Dairy Queen, the Family Video, some tax office, something like that. They often owned those buildings as a company. So that's one of the reasons they were able to have like horrible selection and naked indifference to movie stuff and still kind of putter along for such a long time. It's because they were always cashing those rent checks. So kudos to them for finding another non-tanning bed way to keep the ship afloat for a while anyway.
I always presumed it was like probably a popular cash front for like mob operations.
Oh, I doubt it. No, I mean, no, because you wouldn't have the volume, and there's too much inventory tracking. And most of the mom and pop stuff farmed out a lot of their inventory tracking. Companies like Rent Track would have essentially just sent you the new releases. They would have, and basically charged pass through on all the rental stuff. A lot of mom and pops just kind of toss the keys to third party companies and just kind of let them do their thing. No, I don't think that was, and I don't think porn was keeping. That's the other thing. Like, well, the porn is what kept him going for so long. I don't think that's really the case either. There's no amount of porn in the world that could possibly match the internet, and it's even in areas with less access to broadband. I still don't buy that. It was really the rent checks, and it was the property holdings that kept Family Video. Although I think even now they are essentially defunct, and I don't know if they franchised it all, but yeah, I think they're not long for this world, no matter what.
I want to know, how long have you been doing this?
The store started in 2002. I took over at the tail end of 2013. We moved locations within the same neighborhood shortly after I took over. But we've slowly been adding kind of like food, drink stuff. We expanded to the unit next door and set up a nice little micro cinema, which has been sadly defunct on and off over the last year. We were doing private events for like 6 people. We had been doing private events for like up to 30, 35 people. We were doing public screenings every Friday night and doing lots of different stuff with the room, but it's very small, and there's really no way for us to do the kind of thing we were doing. But yeah, it's a coffee shop. We make the baked goods. It's a little kind of all service, little kind of food drink. We had seating, which has been suspended, also for COVID reasons. But yeah, it's a little coffee shop for some people. It's a video store to other people. We do as much as we possibly can and try to spread spread the attention and whatever else. I mean, brick and mortar is tough. Movie stuff is tough. Everything's difficult right now in this environment, but we do the best we can, and we're doing okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Dan actually brought me down. I don't know, a year, 2 years ago. Well, actually, with the pandemic, I have no idea what time.
Yeah. It was probably 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. He brought me down once to go
before time.
Yeah.
I was there for screening, so I used to actually go to Video Underground at its original location.
Sure. Back in this, it would have been 2002 to the tail end of 2013.
Yeah. So you're right down the street from where I used to live, but you moved there. It sounds like right after I moved.
Gotcha. Always daily dollar short.
Yeah. Oh, I would have been in there every day, maybe several times a day, if in your current location.
We're sorry. We're sorry we missed you. It's actually a much more. I mean, the catalog's only grown since. We're still adding stuff, and we're always doing format upgrades. There's just way fewer cases on the floor. Every now and again, someone will kind of come in that left town or something, like, where'd all your movies go? I'm like, well, they're behind the counter. We just, it was more important for us to have like a meeting place and sit down stuff. So there's probably only somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 cases on the floor, but there's north of 17,000 titles in the catalog now. So it's a pretty robust catalog. We do our best to, we keep up with new releases, sometimes in spite of ourselves, and we're always trying to fill in little gaps and track down stuff and complete directors and get Blu-rays if possible. Follow whatever, when everyone wanted midsummer movies when midsummer came, it's all like, we'll go get some folk horror movies, we'll kind of beef up some sections. So we're always trying to be responsive and give people a real breadth of options, since they're making a special trip, since we offer all the expertise and none of the convenience. You got to kind of make it worth people's while, I guess.
Yeah. And so I saw on your Instagram, there's some kind of big project. I guess it looks like a feature film that you're working on called Flatbread Pizza.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of hype for this flatbread pizza.
Flatbread Pizza, The Reckoning. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna we're hoping for some kind of like Resident Evil style series with the flatbread pizza. We do plug the food and stuff quite a bit, and I do every now and again. Someone's like, why don't you tell people about your movies and stuff? Like, well, they already know that, but like, if people knew how much more fun the movie stuff is when you're largely taking all the financial pressure off it. I mean, we still charge for subscriptions and stuff, and it's money that we need, and a decent chunk of it goes right back into the catalog. But the movie stuff, and one of the reasons that I'm on a few kind of like private groups on Facebook for like independent video store owners, US, globally, and there's a lot of frustration in that group. And it's like, I don't really sweat the movie stuff at all because of things like flatbread pizza and macchiatos and crepes and blueberry muffins, all that kind of stuff.
So there's a secret society of video store owners.
That's not how I would describe it. I think there are private Facebook group is the completely accurate way to describe. I would not describe it as a secret society. There's no League of Extraordinary Video Store Owners. There's no rituals. There's no
an oddly specific denial.
No headdresses. Nothing like that. It'd be kind of cool if there was. I mean, we have some video store owner buddies and some contacts and that kind of thing, but yeah, it's definitely not a secret society. I think there's got to be more like access to the levers of power in real life for it to be a real secret society, and typically we're coming up a little bit short on that.
Right, that you only get that at 25,000 titles.
Well, yeah, we're not anywhere close to that.
Cool. So Kevin picked a well, not a movie exactly for us to watch today, which
It's kind of a movie.
it's kind of a movie. Yeah, I mean, it's an
It's
hour.
an hour long.
It's longer than some things that are considered feature films. But yeah, so we watched Elephant Parts by Michael Nesmith of the Monkees, and I realized I owned this. I was going through the garage. I was like, where am I going to find this? And then I think somebody dumped a bunch of tapes on me, and one of them was Elephant Parts.
I don't think it's been digitized. I think I have a tape copy also.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think that's
there
kind of
was
the
a
beginning of
DVD.
the.
I looked.
Oh, was it
up.
really?
It was a DVD, and it was the third best-selling laser disc of 1981, after Close Encounters
Wow.
of the Third Kind and E.T., which is really weird to think about.
Yeah, those are some heavy hitters.
I mean, granted, it is laser disc, so
if
you're
the
only pulling fewer people than there are probably like Nielsen boxes, but yeah.
I
with
wonder
the
if there was
Laserdisc
there. I wonder if
DVD.
there was a lot of pull in the Canadian market. That video, whatever. Let's just call it a video, because that's really closer what it is. It's so Canadian to me, and Bill Deere being Canadian, and there being some other, I don't know. The whole thing it's just so weird, but kind of like sort of wholesome weird. Like, it's even the drug stuff is really like,
That was
compared
give it a
to
rest,
like Head.
dad kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very odd movie.
Yeah, that was
Very odd video.
Drug joke.
Well, yeah, Head is legitimately kind of out there.
Yeah, Head is pretty freaky, but
by
this
comparison,
is like him.
Elephant Parts is really.
Yeah, this is like Nesmith with a mortgage.
Well, Kevin,
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, would you like to describe what Elephant Parts is for the
Elephant?
audience?
Sure. Elephant Parts is one of. I guess it's always, there have always been things that kind of just took kind of like pastiche vomit nonsense and kind of made a feature film either out of skits. It's not skits the way that like Kentucky Fried Movie is skits. It's closer to that. But what's weird about Elephant Parts is that there are what I feel are relatively earnest music numbers with some like kind of spoof mock, quasi-political, quasi-cultural commentary, little there's some commercials, there's like a mock game show. Nothing goes on for very long. The whole thing I think is a flat 60 minutes. But it's sort of Michael Nesmith, he's just in it so much, and it's one of those things where you think that you're going to eventually see. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, eventually some other monkeys are going to show up, or there'll be some kind of like weird, almost like kind of like Born to Boogie celebrity pop-ins, because it does feel a little bit closer to like a 70s classic rock, montage concert doc thing than it does Kentucky Fried Movie, or like
it feels
even like,
so much like it feels like a home video,
right? And
like it's the logic of its structure is entirely meant for like a television, but not a broadcast television, just
right.
And so you get like some replay value with the music, because like I notice on VHS tapes when I buy them a lot, if there's musical numbers, they'll kind of do some advertising on the shrink, where they're kind of pushing it as like, oh, you get a record and a video.
Right. Yeah, but the whole thing, it's not narrative, it's not funny. A lot of
it is just sort of like,
it's a lot of like Weird Al, like throwaway gags, stuff like that. The thing that I love the most about it is it's essentially like the only really true companion piece, the Star Wars Holiday Special, because the look of the things is so similar, and the way it kind of dodges in and out between inexplicable music numbers and inexplicable like pop culture references, which, I mean, the Star Wars Holiday Special, that's kind of really all it does. The Elephant Parts is really as close as you get to kind of replicating that, and it's kind of charming and kind of sad and really dopey, and some of the some of the skits are kind of funny, but the whole thing's just so inexplicable that you've been watching it for 25 minutes and it feels like days because there's no real sequencing. There's not there's nothing really to break it up, and it's not framed in a certain way. It's really weird. I got a real big kick out of Elephant Parts just out of the sheer absurdity of the whole thing.
I'm really glad that you're describing it in that way because you're articulating what I was feeling. I was going into it
like what, like the whole time it's just like, who is this for?
Yes.
Laserdisc player owners, apparently, who already own Close Encounters and E.T.
And I counted, I laughed 4 times. And I guess
that's more than I did.
I was expecting something between Kentucky Fried Movie and Weird Al. Or the Weird Al was a little bit of a surprise because I didn't realize there'd be music videos as well.
But they're barely even, I mean, to put, because it's clearly there are music videos, but there were recorded contemporaneous to the rest of the stuff. It looks like the same set and or sound stage. So it's not like they cut away to something that was much more slickly produced. It's all the same stuff. It's just, all right, we need to kind of break up the monotony here. Let's get a number in here. Yeah. It feels, I mean, it's an hour runtime. It still feels padded, which is kind of remarkable. But yeah, it got, when I was looking around for stuff on it, there was a TV spinoff that ran for 7 episodes. Oh, really? I'm not aware of that.
There's parts of it on YouTube. I couldn't find any. So there were 2 video releases of it. It was called Television Parts. And it's just basically Mike Nesmith gets to do his own, like, one-person centric sketch show. And the sketches I found weren't great. It's not some kind of hidden gem or something, but I thought it was really interesting that this, like, the thing looks like it was produced for like $100.
Right.
And so it's just weird to me that like took off that much. Like, I think if you released that video at any other time, it wouldn't have gotten any of that traction.
Right.
Although the spinoff had other they had like some comics who weren't that well known at the time, but so up and coming. So
yeah, Gary Shandling and Martin Mull. I mean, I'm looking at it now. They're playing themselves, but it's still, at least that's something.
Yeah.
Because there's no one else in Elephant Parts. I could have sworn that like Zappa was gonna like pop out of a cake or something, or like at least one of the other monkeys, or maybe they'll have Dennis Hopper will be like directing something in some kind of spoof, and none of it ever happened.
So do you think that means that Mike Nesmith doesn't have a lot of friends in real life?
He's not. I don't know if it doesn't mean he doesn't have any friends in real life. I don't know if I'd be willing to go quite that far, but I think it definitely means that this was very much his baby. I think that's a nice way to package that evaluation. Yeah, I don't think this is something other people were desperate to be a part of. I don't know. It's just too weird. It's too weird, and it's too low. It's too cheap. Both in terms of production and like the laughs, the nuclear bomb to get rid of your neighbors stuff.
So it's like a mom and pop shop after mom left. Just pop on his own.
It's more like your neighbor's got like his kind of fancies himself like kind of like a part-time inventor, and he's got like 2 patents on like completely ridiculous products, but he's really excited about them. And he clearly has some kind of mechanical ability, but everything he's inventing is kind of like useless and weird. It's more like that. Everything's a passion project. There's just not much of an audience for it.
Right. It's like not quite it's like a prosumer movie. It's not quite a professional movie.
Right. Yes, prosumer movie. That's a pretty good way to describe it. Yeah, it's a very low budget, but still having like a cast and segments and multiple cameras and that kind of stuff. Yeah, but it's really weird, and it's really poor. Like, generally speaking, it's not a high quality production anyway. It's hard to tell what Mike Nesmith's really going for also. That's the thing that I find most fascinating about it, is like this is clearly not for Monkees fans.
It's got like the same vibe as the Kokomo music video to me. Like it's like
God.
somebody approaching middle age and they're like, you know what, I don't need any money anymore. I'm just gonna like fuck it, have fun. And like you can tell that their tastes have become those of middle-aged men. Like it's although I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, he's pretty enthusiastic about it. It's not like somebody giving up. It's just sort of yeah, I don't know what it is.
But the other thing I've always wondered is whether or not, because it says on the case that it was the winner of the first video Grammy.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. Like, I don't think
what if they did like a Nathan Fielder and they made their own video Grammy festival?
Well, but but the Grammys did start giving videos out, but it was after 1981. It would have had to have been. So I'm the other thing that I think is interesting about this is it's possible that Michael Nesmith is like, this is a monument to his just naked ambition, and that when MTV first hit, he was like, okay, we're going to make a bunch of videos, we're going to make a bunch of songs, we're going to try to get this stuff, we're going to submit now that a music video is a thing, we're going to try to get this, kind of played somewhere, played places, and you also make it a qualifying feature length, with the hopes that maybe the Oscars will do some kind of like music video thing. I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of what it looks like. It's kind of like a
right. I mean, it feels like
a Swiss Army knife for all these different potential avenues for, direct consumer context. You have multiple music videos. It's feature length. There are original songs in it. I mean, if Michael Nesmith was just like, I see the future. It's in music videos. But we need to make sure that this is maybe like festival ready. We need to make it kind of funny. We need to make it
and it feels like one of those things where
cable
is
on
like,
the way up. I don't know.
It feels like it was one of those things that was cut together to festival specifications. Like, it doesn't need to be 60 minutes. There's plenty of VHS tapes that are not a full 60 minutes from that period.
Right, but it being a flat 1 hour, I think is a little bit.
Although I guess for Laserdisc,
confusing.
Laserdisc, you'd have a flat hour.
Right, that's true.
On the one side, it would probably be a one-sided disc, yeah.
So maybe this is some kind of like master stroke, just completely like cash grab, craven. I mean, obviously,
Mike Nesmith thought that Laserdisc was the future.
Thought that Laserdisc was the future, and rightly thought that music videos were the future at the time in 1981. I mean, he's kind of not that far off. If the skits were funny and the songs were good, then he's kind of getting there. Because I'm on IMDb. The release date video premiere is the 1st of July. MTV launches 1 month later to the day. He would have known about MTV coming down the pike. Maybe he thought this was. I don't know. I'm not saying Mike Nesmith is a bad guy, or you gotta get what you can while the getting's good. But it's weird. It's very weird.
Well, he's done well. He's done well as a business person, right? I mean, also recording and stuff like that. But then he started is it a video production company, or not a video distribution company, or
I mean,
I'm not
up again.
I mean, he seemed like. Yeah, I don't know a ton about his later life. I know that he wrote Different Drum. That's the only. He was in the Monkees and he wrote Different Drum. That's the only. And he had a country singer career afterwards.
But he would have writing credits, I think, on all the non-Neil Diamond Monkey songs, though. I'm pretty sure he's got a writing credit on most of the other
later
stuff.
ones.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because the first few they're trying to make them like a boy band.
Right.
And it's not Neil Diamond, it's shit. I forget, the last Train to Clarksville was like this songwriting duo. But yeah, the later stuff, when they go psychedelic, they start recording their own stuff, and it's okay,
Right.
It's like psychedelic Bee Gees stuff, sorta.
And Neil Diamond wrote Believer, he wrote a little bit me, a little bit you. And he wrote like the big hits, and then some other guys wrote most of the stuff on like the songs that end up being on the show. But all the stuff after that, I think Mike might even have like sole credit on a couple of those. I think it's possible. I'm not positive, but yeah, the stuff much later on that probably is not worth as much. But he was an actual song. I mean, he was he was a musician. He's
right. And he was hanging out in that Valley crew with like he had intersections with Manson and like Neil Young and
all those guys did. Yeah, the Monkey story is so weird. I mean, I had a Monkeys tape when I was a kid, and I remember watching the show on Nickelodeon, and then I remember seeing Head when like I was maybe like I was probably in college and thinking like, oh man, I bet this is gonna be hilarious. Like, what in God's name is going on? Like is the joke on them or is the joke on me? And I realized later the joke was on me because these guys were not at all they would have not made any money doing things like Head or, kind of like some kind of remake to King of Marvin Gardens or something like they were never, that was never going to be their claim to fame, and the band and the funny stuff and the dancing was always going to be how they kind of got over. But yeah, those guys were way more out there than I understood, as certainly as a child, but even like as a young adult, I just, until I saw Head, I was not aware of their interesting political views.
Yeah, I just remember watching them as a kid and like, oh, funny sketch, and the music's kind of fun. And the only part I didn't enjoy was when they would be talking to the camera and doing interview kind of stuff.
But even that was kind of charming in a way. I mean, it was clearly just for kids, and they did not want to do things for kids, and they did not want to, I'm sure they enjoyed the money and stuff, but yeah, but once they were able to kind of break free from that, those guys were way out there with Manson and with, I mean, there's a whole bunch of weird stuff that they probably saw and did from the mid 60s into the late 70s.
And somehow we end up at Elephant Parts.
Exactly. Which was, kind of Mike Nesmith's recording career goes on a lot longer because of like songs like Different Drum, and what was the other one that was kind of a he wrote he has writing credit on Mary Mary, I think. I don't know. I mean, that's I always, everyone says that Mike is like was the talented one. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but he seemed to at least have some ambition and some interesting ideas.
He started Pacific Arts. That's what I was looking for. So Pacific Arts, video distribution, music and video distribution and music production. So including Repo Man.
Oh, okay.
Huh. There you go. That's a good movie.
So, yeah. I didn't catch where Mike Nesmith was in that movie, but it was a good movie.
So he's probably best of all, he was pretty good at business. He's also very good at inheriting money.
Oh, I didn't realize
is he really?
Oh, yes. His mom invented liquid paper.
I don't even know what liquid paper is. Can you smoke that?
Like whiteout.
His mom invented whiteout.
Oh man, I feel really weird about asking, can you smoke that now?
Well, that's a good question. We could do a search for that. But,
all right, I guess that's the public service announcement in this episode. Don't smoke the whiteout.
Do not smoke the whiteout.
Do not
smoke. Or snort the whiteout or anything else.
It's a joint message from a nominee, the VU, and Nancy Reagan. Don't smoke the whiteout.
Just say no to whiteout.
That's funny. I'd never heard that. That's great. I mean, it's kind of, well, now I'm looking at his trivia on IMDb. It says Elephant Parts won the first Grammy for a video record.
Ah, okay.
Well, I guess like Love You Till Tuesday's a video record, right? Or like there's all those early Beatles like promo, although those are like proto music videos. Those aren't really, I mean, I guess like Magical Mystery Tour was sort of like a video record. Although that might just be me being charitable and like not calling it a movie. So
one for 82. It's on the Wikipedia page up against Eat to the Beat, the first national kid disc, and One Night Stand, a keyboard event. That's a great title for anything. But it's all like real music videos after that, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
One Night Stand, a keyboard event. God,
the award was given out twice, and then
that
it
sounds
switched
like
to
a movie where a guy invites a girl upstairs and actually shows her his etchings.
when
Like,
when I say a keyboard event, it sounds like kind of like a Skinamax, but it's just then it just ends up being people playing the keyboard with really soft focus.
The night that Glenn Gould got naked.
Oh jeez. Oh, it sounds terrible.
It does. That's a horror movie. That's like the next Midsommar is the night Glenn Gould got naked.
That's a rough. But yeah, so the award was given twice, and then it became the Video Music Award, not the Grammy Award for Video of the Year. Okay, like so it does check out. I still think there's at least some possibility that Michael Nesmith really ran at the new video music format and attempted to, score some hits. But good for him.
Yeah, he's not ready for the Glue Factory yet.
No,
or at least he wasn't in the mid 1980s. I haven't checked up on him in a while, but
he's still kicking.
He's still kicking.
He's still making his money.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
We should all be so lucky.
So I was gonna ask, like, how has the pandemic impacted the store? We got into it a little bit earlier, but I think that everybody listening is probably pretty interested in how, like,
we closed for 2 months. We were closed from mid-March to mid-May because, and looking back on it, it was, because this is in the first 2 weeks of March, I remember, we're still like sanitizing everything and not wearing masks. And we're, and it was not really until we were closed that we started to kind of get a better idea of what we were sort of up against. But yeah, the store closed from mid-March to mid-May. We were curbside takeout only until mid-October.
And could you curbside take out movies, or was it just
we did the movies and we did all the food drink stuff. That's actually, it sucked, but it was at least kind of enough to keep us sort of puttering along. We didn't get any PPP money. We didn't really get a break on rent other than deferment because that's the way life is, I guess.
Wait, Kanye West didn't give you any of his PPP?
We got money? 0 Kanye bucks. That's probably why he's getting. That's probably why he's getting divorced.
He didn't even give you any Kanye coin.
No Kanye coin. Nothing. I got. Does he have his own crypto?
He had. I don't know if it's still there, but he had a crypto called Kanye coin. Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm not making that up, unfortunately.
No, that sounds way too believable. So I'm gonna go ahead and believe you without even verifying that. But yeah, so we hold on. If it starts getting loud,
Ron's like looking at his computer like he's buying Kanye coin right now.
Please do not buy any Kanye coin. That sounds like a terrible idea.
I was looking it up to see if it was still active. It's no longer active.
No longer active. Dang it.
Kanye coin is the only currency you can use to buy smokable light out.
There you go. Everyone's got to find their niche in the crypto world. You gotta have some kind of angle, from what I can understand.
Maybe
so we're closed for 2 months, then curbside takeout until mid-October, and then we've been letting people in, but there's no sit-down service. There's no flatware, no seating of any kind. We were able to do private screening events through most of the summer and into the fall. But yeah, things are going okay. Every time I think like, man, this sucks, I read about some place closing that I thought would never close, and I hear about friends getting like fired and laid off and all that kind of thing. So it's really tough and it's crappy. And this was supposed to be the year where like everything, like 2020 was going to be like the year where everything was kind of different because we took over the screening room in the fall of 2019. But yeah, we got a few good months in on everything, and we're on the up and up, and then had to shut it down. And we've been able to. We have a wonderful customer base, and we have people in our corner. But it's tough. But it's tough for anyone doing almost anything right now, other than playing the market or stockpiling Kanye coin, or
Right.
the real the real workers on the ground in the world are having a tough time. I can say that.
Yeah, it's rough out there. Although 2021 seems to be I don't know, it just seems to be like 2020 like continued.
Yeah,
It's like
it feels a lot of the same.
It's like a third side of the record.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. It's like side C of Dope Smoker. It's like, wait, this is the same song. Why is this happening?
yeah, it's like when somebody has like a breakout first record and their second record is really obviously just all the leftovers.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Oh yeah. I mean, sometimes that's better than their third record when they run out of the leftovers. Like,
well, the third record's always the covers record to get out of the first contract.
Right.
That's a classic move. One I've always been very fond of. It's like, why is Eve 6 doing a covers record? Oh, that's right. They signed a bad deal. That's not good. It's a common phenomenon. But things are, I don't know. We still have many subscribers, more than I think most people would ever dream we would, and we get new account signups all the time, and we continue to fill kind of like a weird little niche, and we're pretty cost competitive, and on the food and drink stuff, you can attest to the quality of the of the food and drink stuff. We do our level best, and we think we've got a couple niches carved out with that also. So
yeah, and I think that the movies, I tend to like going back over old episodes of the show, I tend to give movies more favorable reviews when I've eaten.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've definitely noticed that.
That's part of the, especially for like flatbread pizza or mac and cheese. I mean, you get the big portion of mac and cheese with the tomato and the bacon in it. Boy, that'll make anything seem at least halfway decent. I mean, once those endorphins flowing, I mean, come on, that heavy feeling in your stomach, anything, anything's Resident Evil Extinction. I don't know, B+. That was okay.
Yeah, it's
why not?
Right, like that's how they get people to Jesus, right? They feed them.
Yeah,
they get that big lunch in the middle of the day, and they're like, hey, you're still homeless, but like we're gonna create this Pavlovian association between Jesus and pizza,
the coffee and donuts,
like one day at a time.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is making me more and more regretting not living right up the street.
I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of new construction around now, and we're waiting for that to kind of like actually fill up, and for some other like new businesses to move in. I'm sure that the area would be scarcely recognizable. Like our intersection you would be like, where in God's name did this stuff come from? But if only we had known, you would have stayed. We would have worked faster.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, there's no video store. I am my video store right now. Like,
right.
There's although I picked up, actually, you probably get a kick at this. I needed some storage when I moved because I'm in upstate New York now.
Right.
I picked up this cabinet from like 1980 that was made to hold Betamax tapes, and I couldn't figure out what the deal with it was because it had a lock on it, and I really must have been behind the counter at like a store in the early 80s for like Betamax porno tapes, and there were a few of them in there. And
there were actual Betamax porno tapes?
Yeah, I have one in the other room. Yeah, I have what is it? Arrow Motions. Like, it doesn't look very sexy, but it's on Betamax. So
I might have a couple Betamax adult films at home. Only because there was a guy that like
where we plug the store.
No. There's a guy who like every now and again someone's like, "Do you take donations?" And most of the time, like there's some like, "Hey, is there any way I can get some kind of like, few bucks out of this?" I usually tell people that if it's something we already have, like it's not like a cash conversation. Like I've given people, like a cup of coffee for your time, dropping stuff off.
I traded you the sequel to The Emperor's New Groove for a thing of dots once.
See, exactly. We wheel and deal. I
think you gave me 2 things of dots. And that's why we invited you on the show.
Yeah. For Kronk's New Groove.
I think so.
Yeah. That sounds right.
It was like
we probably got asked about it the day before. I was like, oh no, I actually kind of need this. Have some candy. But every now and again someone drops off something, and like leaves, like
Oh
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
box,
When I had
with
the
the
record
bin.
store, like I literally somebody dropped off 6. I think I talked to you about this at the store when it happened, but 6 full garbage bags worth of like TLA releasing softcore gay like
Yeah.
porn movie DVDs, and then all of The Wire.
Yeah.
It's just like
That's similar to what this was, only it was DVDs on top, but then at the bottom it was all like gangbang tapes.
beta
Like just
tape.
tapes. Well, and I think a couple of them were beta, because even like the adult films always had those boxes, like the empty cardboard box that made the thing bigger.
Right.
Like I don't know if there's a term for it, but the tape would be surrounded by just kind of cardboard nothing with some kind of design on it. And the beta ones had a different cardboard, like it made for a different like format profile for the entire object. And that's why I know a couple of them are betas. Yeah, those are in my basement somewhere. I don't know. There's so much stuff in my basement at this point. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I think those are looking somewhere. That was the last. And if people ask all the time if we still do porn, we don't at all. Just not at all. But there's still probably a couple things in my basement that when we tried to sell everything to like literally anyone that walked in and asked, we had like, do you rent out adults? Of like, no, but I'll sell you like 5 movies for $20 like right now. 5, how about 5 for 15? What do you like just trying to get these things out the door. There's still a couple tapes, including 2 of the Nina Hartley instructionals, which are really funny. Really, 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 really funny. I don't know if you know who Nina Hartley is, but she's
Yeah.
She's a really, really big name. But yeah, the instructional stuff, it's just because it's so earnest, but she knows that it's like to really project this is for guys, and I know you guys are terrible at this, and this is genuine instruction, but this still has to be somewhat entertaining and kind of sexy in a weird way, or you're gonna stop watching. She walks several lines in those instructional tapes, and yeah, I think those are still probably hanging out at the bottom of some yellow top bin in my basement. I think that's it though. You never know what people are gonna come in with though. It never ceases to amaze. I don't know.
Oh yeah, because you could put anything on a VHS.
Well, yeah. Well, and even DVDs too. We've gotten a bunch. We've gotten stuff that's like no barcode, like clearly given out at like a seminar or something like that. Like really crappy inkjet covers.
Oh, I collect stuff like that. You always find like really weird shit in there. Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, like sometimes it's like a documentary about like the like occupied Palestine, and then it's like, how to start your mail from home business. Like it's a really I've seen all kinds of very odd things, sometimes like still shrink wrap, like these were things that were just given to people and it just went with their DVDs. So imagine the how to start your business like on someone's shelf in between like dodgeball and like
you ever get any
man, like just where all the movies go, things that you watch are all right here on the shelf.
You ever get any weird inserts in the DVDs? Like I remember I bought this collection of disco records from this guy in Roslindale, and it had his chest X-rays inside of this Donna Summer record. And then like I was talking to my friend in Brooklyn who has a bookstore, and he said that he got a book where somebody was using a "Do Not Resuscitate" form as the bookmark.
That's pretty bleak.
I mean, like the 2 best ones I had were kind of bleak, but I'm sure there's fun ones too.
Mostly you find people's names written on the discs. Like they had roommates, want to make sure their roommate didn't run off with their full screen copy of music and lyrics, something like that. But I don't think there's, every now and again there's like weird little inscriptions if it was like a gift, or in the things that are unbarcoded that were maybe like autographed at a film festival or something like that. But I can't think of a really good kind of like consumer insert thing lately.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like a a letter or something if it was like, or even a note if it was quite possibly a gift or something like that, but nothing like a do not resuscitate or a chest X-ray. I got
I
nothing.
mean,
on that.
I guess with like books, you're kind of encouraged to put some random piece of paper
Right.
into it. Yeah.
The tradition of marginalia is as old and rich as the printing press itself.
Yeah, like I was going through all my because I'm selling off. I had about 10,000 books at one point, and I think it's down to probably like 3,000 now. And I'm going through them, and I found one that I had been using. There was an uncashed check for $7.60 from when I was like 12.
Nice.
That kind of stuff's always fun. But yeah, you don't see quite as much of that in DVDs.
No, there's definitely not. I mean, there's really, yeah, there's sometimes there's writing on the disc, or like someone tried to like fix a saw cut and like use like tape or like kind of try to smooth it over or something. But it's by and large, it was there's not that level of personal attachment for the most part.
Yeah.
And there's not really great places to like write or stick stuff.
Yeah, there's not a lot of space to put stuff. Yeah, because definitely in records, people put a lot of things in records, and then I think like to hide them or something, and then they forget they're there.
Right.
But yeah, so what are the plans for the future for the video store? Like or I guess like nobody really knows the future right now.
This has not been it's not a great time for prognostication.
Here's an invitation to jinx yourself, I guess.
Once things get back to quote unquote normal or whatever, we're pretty content with where we are. I mean, the only really thing we could do at this point, with the space, we could take over another unit and like make the screening room bigger or start roasting our own coffee or something. But we're really kind of maxed out for this space and this location and probably this neighborhood. If there's anything else we do, I guess it's a second location or something. I think we can realistically house I think we can go maybe to 20,000 discs, but that's where it stops. Like then there's nowhere, because we've got all these binders where all the things are shucked and filed away and barcoded and numbered, but there's a finite space for how many binders we can put on these shelves, and once that's done, we either have to like consolidate everything or do something else, do something extra funny, or keep more things off site. We already keep all the TV off site, and in the outside chance someone asks for a tape, which almost no one comes. It comes up maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Just this asshole.
Well, I mean, but everyone who's into tapes is a collector, not a no one's like, hey, I saw you have a copy of Super 8.5. I'd like to rent that and watch it and then return it. Like people are only looking to buy stuff like that. There's not a ton of interest in watching these things. They want to have the object, they want to have the artifact. So all the tapes and stuff. We have one laser disc here and it's in a display. We have 7 CEDs that are part of a display. A couple, some 8mm reels.
It was somebody getting rid of like a few thousand CEDs at like a few years ago in Boston. Like I was going around to the thrift stores. Yeah. Every record bin was just filled to the brim with CEDs.
Right, because there's nothing. I mean, they are functionally decorative, because you're not going to find a CED player. I mean, they exist and people post,
but they don't work.
Put them on eBay. Right. You're never gonna get them fixed. They probably don't work. You might not even be, you would probably end up having to track down like other antiquated audio components to
right.
to like it's not like the thing's got an HDMI. It's not even like it has component jacks or something. Like you're gonna have to get a coax cable and some like a screwdriver and try to figure out how to connect this to something.
You can get those connectors with the because RF it's just the 2 prongs, right? So there's the 2 prongs out to the RF, and then you put that through the RF like modulator, demodulator, I forget which one's which, and then should work.
Yeah.
That's
But it's a
usually
lot of-
how that's how I get the TV out to my CRT if I like really. I don't want to use the word need. That's not a need.
No, it's not a need if you so desire.
If
But
I
even
if
th-
I
but even
have
then,
that like impulse and I can't tamp it down.
but if someone gave you all this stuff for free, okay, but to try to track this stuff down, like, it's just
Mm.
not. Yeah, or we have
Oh yeah,
we have
like Betamax players. I've been having the hardest time finding a working Betamax player. They've all shit the bed.
Sure.
And Bob Thompson out in Syracuse, he's got probably like I talked to him on the phone. He's the guy on the Jim and Marjorie show that talks about the TV stuff.
Oh yeah, I know that
And
guy is.
yeah, and he's got like 1,000 beta tapes in his house of all of 80s and 90s TV with the commercials,
Oh
and he can't
wow.
transfer any of them because like Syracuse, they buy a Betamax machine and it usually works for like 40 hours if it works. And then they got like this pile of broken Betamax machines. I still haven't seen a working one in the wild though.
Like just a Betamax player or some kind of Betamax transfer device.
Just anything that'll play them, because I mean a
Just
Betamax
anything that'll
machine,
get a
it'll
signal
have a
off of it.
composite output. You're not going to get better video than a composite out of the
Right.
tape anyway.
And they just can't find Betamax players at Syracuse to unload all this guy's stuff.
I've never found, like I've seen one Betamax. I mean, it makes sense because they were only in production for like what 4 or 5. No, I think they were still in small time production until like 88 or something. But there's just not a lot of them out there.
It seems like you could get someone with even a bunch of broken ones to make to make the thing.
Well, that's what I was saying to it. Now I'm near Syracuse. Maybe I'll call him up. We can make an episode out of me taking apart his broken Betamax machines. But
I mean, there's got to be some way to do it. I mean, that just doesn't that doesn't make sense to not be able to come up with some even like proprietary way to get the information off those tapes.
Yeah, because it seems like beta is the format that has the most hidden stuff, because that's what like the hardcore taping off the TV people were using.
Right. That's true. Huh. Well, that's funny. It's like good stuff. We've also we've got some 8mm. I've got a couple, I don't know, people that walk by would have no idea that there's probably 6 or 7 8mm stag reels sitting in the front window.
Is that what's next to that like 90s
oh yeah
projector? Okay.
Oh yeah, Art of Love. I mean, it's like I mean, there's probably some of them I know are just completely screwed just because the way what the reels smell like. But I think a couple of them probably are playable. Like the celluloid seems to have still enough like tensile strength to it to actually play. But yeah, there's some all the titles are like in quotes, and it's all like written in ballpoint pen on like a piece of masking tape. There's got to be some dues, and it's probably all, I would assume it's either all or mostly homemade. I mean, they're not, this would predate anything.
Fucking hipsters.
I know, anything mass manufactured. So I mean, yeah, I think we have a working 8mm projector, but I'm way too scared to fire that, to either turn on the 8mm projector or to successfully project whatever, it could be like a crime scene for all I know. I don't want any part of that. not I saw that amazing Nick Cage movie. I don't want any part of what's on these things.
Well, and also the projector could set on fire if they're
no, there's a ton of stuff that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Ton of stuff that could go wrong with that. And then,
But a proper 8mm projector has that button to stop it from going from burning.
Oh, I think I mean, the odds of starting a fire, I bet, are comparatively low. The odds of like jacking up the tape or jacking up the reel itself, I think, are pretty high. Like I'm just like, it just snaps, and then I put another piece on, it snaps, something like that. That seems much more likely.
Seems like it would be a lot easier to like go into tanning beds.
No, we're not doing any tanning beds. Hey, I'm telling you that was actually a very good idea.
I don't remember that ever happening. I
Oh
guess it just wasn't
yeah,
an upstate New York thing.
totally. Oh, totally. Especially in smaller towns where there's absolutely a demand for a video store, but there were not enough people to, you imagine yourself at like 2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon. No one's going to be around, but you can't really just only open the store at 5:30, something like that. So you have the tanning bed during the day.
You got the spare screening room.
We still we wouldn't be able to put a tanning bed in here because there's not a single, like, we can't give up a single amp of electricity with all the stuff on the other side.
Okay, fair.
And I don't want to deal with tanning. Those things are gross. I mean, the whole thing is gross. I don't tan. I'm not tan. I've never been tanning. We're not doing spray tanning. But those machines are really big, and you end up leasing them, I think. And then it's just not worth it all. That, and in the screening room right now, because it's not being used, I'm in it right now. It's freezing. I turn the heat like all the way off because if it kicks on, it's kind of loud. It kicked on once since we've been doing this, but oh god, no, that sounds terrible. Terrible. There's like no ventilation. It would end up smelling like coconuts and pineapple the whole time. That's a hard pass. It is a completely accurate thing, and that was a real revenue driver in almost every video store I know of. Where, I mean, the ones that were chains were never going to do that, but all the mom and pop stuff, almost everyone leaned real heavily on something like tanning beds, or basically being like a candy store or something, or they had a ton of porn. Porn paid a lot of college tuition between 1985 and 1998. A lot of it. A lot of tuition. And we're all better for it. So, what's the no problem with that.
So when you go home, do you watch a lot of movies? Or you're like, nah, okay, I'm done. I've done enough with movies during the day. That's plenty.
I watch movies like after hours, like after everyone else is asleep. That's when I watch movies. I don't watch a lot of and again, with my girlfriend, her daughter, and I were quarantined with her sister and brother-in-law and their kids, like when it first started, because the thinking was we all moved into their house. And we were there for like 3 months, that our house would be empty and it would almost be kind of like a quarantine, like a separate zone. Like if someone got sick or tested positive, they could have somewhere to live. And we did end up watching a fair amount of movies at their place. We had movie night, and we watched some funny stuff, and I made them watch some terrible stuff, and they made me watch some things that they thought were good and I didn't. And that's a common dynamic in my life.
Yeah.
Right. So like they made me watch like season 1 of what was it called? Search Party. And then I made them watch Quatermass in the Pit. So there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that kind of thing. I watch movies. I watch at least one movie every day. I don't get to watch stuff during the day. A lot of people are like, oh man, it'd be so awesome to work here. Like, you just get to like hang out and watch movies like as I'm washing dishes. It's like, no, I do not get to sit here and watch movies all day, every day. It is cool to work here, but it's not. Getting stuff watched during the day is really difficult and comparatively uncommon. We kind of have to keep it G or PG for all the youth that wander in. But I do watch movies.
Well, like Kevin still makes you free coffee, right? Like it's not all a downside work in there.
Oh, I enjoy our food and drink options. I had a good portion of cheddar broccoli soup tonight that we made. That was very nice of us to not sell enough and for me to get some of that. That was great. But but in terms of, my movie watching habits as they have always been. It is a singular activity. It is a solitary activity. It is a late night activity. And I do. So I try to keep up on the new releases when I can. That's the only thing that I kind of try to watch a little bit during the day, just so I have kind of a rough idea. But there have been so few new releases in the last 9 months at this point. That's not the task it was at this time, even last year. I was still trying to keep up on new releases. So when people come in and they have a question, what'd you think of this? I at least have something to say. There's not a lot of new stuff to watch now. So I'm watching either old stuff or weird stuff, or trying to settle arguments with customers or something like that. Well, they'll insist something is good. I know it's not, just because I know, but I need to show up with the actual, the banana clips to really put the argument to rest, that kind of thing. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
We watch a lot I like movies. I watch a lot of movies at home by myself.
I do
mostly.
too, but I also live alone.
Yeah, we do that. The only new releases of the last year have been episodes of Anomany Questionable Movies.
That's it, yeah.
And that's just been a lot of, especially with the, ever since the quarantine, this is pretty much a show about people watching movies alone in their house.
Yeah.
And, like, the aftermath.
That sounds about right. You gotta do what you gotta do. And yeah, we're I'm hoping that we start getting some better stuff out. And there are still new releases, and we still put out new stuff every week, but yeah, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Because even the stuff that the studios have like pocketed away, there's only so much of it. And it's not like it's gonna be replaced, or that it's gonna pick up right where it left off right away. So yeah, the whatever gigantic calendar at Disney that's got like 2050 written on it, I think they're gonna have to shuffle that deck a couple times to get back on track before it's all said and done.
So I guess any I was gonna say like last thoughts, but any final remarks? It always sounds really morbid trying to
Yeah.
show. So, wait, what would you like your last meal to be, Kevin?
Like
For
someone
the listeners.
lighting the cigarette in my mouth as the bandana is covering my eyes. In short, on Elephant Parts, if people can see it, it's worth it. I would also recommend that they watch some kind of like tangent stuff. Like if you can see Born to Boogie, if you can even see like the song remains the same, things like Xanadu or the Apple, because it's kind of
we covered Xanadu and the Apple,
right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of part of it's part of that weird tradition of like music / something. It's also probably worth seeing in the context of some of the really early MTV videos. Like if you want to, I mean, you can watch like the Buggles and like those early Duran Duran videos.
Somebody uploaded the whole like first 3 or 4 hours of MTV onto YouTube.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if it's still up there, but
that would be but that's some good context for that. And if it's possible to see something like, I don't really think it, I know Elephant Parts is on a list with stuff like Kentucky Fried Movie. I don't really see that, because while Kentucky Fried Movie has the skit stuff, the vignette thing, that's an actual feature film, like a genuine featured film, and it's got like a real cast instead of, I mean, obviously it's a lot of like David Zucker and Barry Dennen just kind of being goofballs and stuff, but it's much more of a movie, and it's much more of a comedy thing and not this kind of weird hybrid. But seeing any of the old Zucker Abrams stuff, watching some of the early Weird Al videos, like Elephant Parts does have like a place in this continuum of weird kind of
it's
funny, not super funny.
Well, I thought UHF was pretty funny. I thought UHF like worked as a movie for the most part.
Sure, but if you take all the songs out of UHF, it's still a movie.
That's true.
If you take the songs out of Elephant Parts, it's like it's now a lean 28 minutes, and it's not even like the skits aren't kind of like
you've like neutered the elephant. You took out some important parts.
Well, but without the songs, like the skits don't even have like a structure. Like there's not even like a format consistency to them, I guess. And it would just be completely weird. It's really just music videos that are kind of bookended with hey, you know what'd be funny, man? And then like they just actually made it because it was probably Nesmith's production company, and he was cutting all the checks for anything anyway. You might as well make yourself the star of the whole thing and run that up the flag. So I don't know, but so yeah, in closing elephant parts, it's a neat little oddity. It's good for understanding both the early home video era and definitely the early music video era. In terms of the store, things are good. Can't complain. You know, coffee, crepes, movies, fun stuff, special orders. I don't know. We do our best, and we're dead set on
flatbread pizza. Don't
flatbread.
forget the flatbread pizza.
See, I know you're.
I've been seeing so much flatbread pizza on Instagram, and I just can't eat any of it.
We only do it we only do it every other Friday.
I think that's probably that's how often I check my Instagram.
You just happen to check like you've decided that every other Friday you're going to check Instagram at like 10 a.m. and like, oh my god, the flatbread again.
Right. It looks like
running into it.
Like the place is turned into a pizza place that happens to use movie meme. You know, this.
Oh no! Oh no! We still. If I'm trying to think of the last time you were probably in the room, I mean, it probably looks completely different than what.
I went to a movie in the screening room right before the pandemic started, like probably a few weeks beforehand.
Oh, okay.
I forget what I saw. Yeah,
it would still look different, but it would look closer to what close what it looks. I mean, because now the screening room is basically like my idiot eBay village, and there's like cables everywhere, and I'm sitting here at the little table. There's like a stack of things that includes a sealed copy of Kenny Rogers' The Gambler series, and then there's a region-free Blu-ray player that may or may not work, and a tiny laminating machine, and a January 2021 desk calendar that has nothing written on it. So we're still very much on brand. We're still we haven't sold out. We haven't gotten lame yet, I don't think, and we're pretty committed to selling out if at all possible. But we're aware that that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So until we're afforded that opportunity, I'll just keep ripping on Star Wars, and I'll keep doing all the guiding all the youth of today. The little group of there's always like a little group of like Emerson and BU students who come in, and I get to do my best to shape them in my image, I think I'm doing them a favor, of course, by doing that. What do you think of The Mandalorian? Star Wars is terrible. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then just, that's basically, that's how a lot of these conversations go. What do you think of the new Ari Aster? I don't want to hear that name.
That was the Midsommar guy, right?
Yeah.
That was like such college kid hate.
I've had to bring people to Jesus.
So boring.
It was one thing when I just had to take the Christopher Nolan out of people's sales. I had a playbook for that.
Christopher Nolan is such a hag, and he's trying to get people to go into the big theaters.
Right.
Like how they're gonna have to stroke your dick over Zoom for another few months. Like that's just how it is.
We're always trying. I'm always trying to guide kids toward the really good stuff, toward the light, toward things of substance. But we do our best. They're not all victories, and some people are just never going to let go of their old favorites. But I like to think we're doing God's work here, and telling and telling people that Inception is one of the worst movies I've ever seen counts as doing God's work.
Inception is so bad. Oh my God. Maybe next time you're on, we should just do a fucking Nolan hate fest.
Telling people that they would have enjoyed Heredity just as much if it had been dubbed in a language they didn't understand. I think that's doing God's work. Stuff like that. We're doing our best while you get the flatbread pizza and the peanut butter mocha and your vanilla Cokes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
something for everyone
for the next time I get any of those, but it'll be
I know. We'll still be we're 8 to 6 every day, so now people can get a couple shots at us on the weekend. We hadn't been open on Sundays in a while. So yeah, we're doing the thing. I got to get the store podcast up and going again. This actually kind of helped. This is one of the reasons I was like, yeah, I got to do this. I got to get the microphone out. I got to set everything up again. I've got this weird little high top table that's got all the.
We could do like that homicide Law and Order crossover episode where we show up on the VU podcast. And like we make some kind of like strange excuse why we're all in the same city.
Like, whoa, this is weird, huh? Oh man. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're just looking at these
Jerry Orbach and Richard Belzer in the same room.
How could this possibly be happening? What is this, a Scarface reunion? Where's Brian at? I don't know what's going on. Oh boy. But yeah, thanks for having me on. And I hope we learned about elephant parts, and I learned about the whiteout thing, which is good. And I got to look up some monkeys fun facts. And yeah, I might watch Head later tonight. We've got the Criterion version of it because of course we do. And maybe that'll be that's Bob Rafelson directed that, right?
I think so. It's in that box set, right? With the early Henry Jaglom movie and
right. That's right.
Yeah. Oh my God, Jaglom's another. Oh my God, those movies.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Let's all talk about food for 2 hours. And I say this running a podcast, right? And we just talked about, this is like, so I guess this concludes this edition of like My Dinner with Andre where nobody eats.
Yeah.
I should probably get some dinner. That's probably.
I should probably get some dinner. I mean, I already had some of the leftover soup, but I think I'm supposed to go home for dinner at some point.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. And let me know when this is what do you guys use for?
We're on everything. We're
but I mean, but you do use like Blueberry or
Libsyn, Liberated Syndication.
Libsyn. Okay, gotcha. Cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, yeah,
yeah.
I look forward to
keep us posted about the store podcast because
I will. I know it's I had really big designs for it, but I did the dumb thing and tried to make it. What I didn't want to do is like a rant show, but then that's all anyone wants to hear. But then I'm just I'm another like dickhead. Can I say dickhead?
Oh yeah.
I'm another dickhead over 35 with a beard, just like, being white and talking about how dumb something is. Like, do we really need more of that? But that's all, every time I have even like a little ranty moment in what I was hoping was going to be kind of like a content heavy, kind of themed, but like, different theme per episode, movie podcast thing. And people just want to hear me like, rip on, they want to hear kind of some of my classic bits that I've been doing in the store for years. And things
what if
like
you got like a greatest hits tape, like the Jerky Boys or something. You just like record. It's like when Seinfeld went on that one last tour where he's like, "This is the last time you're ever going to hear these jokes. I'm retiring."
Yeah, but that's so sad. And I know people that went to see that, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Like, this is just. It's just, like he already said he's robbing you. Like, and you're just like, "Oh wow, hold on a second." And you like sprain your thumb trying to get your wallet out just so you can throw the money at his feet. It's so stupid. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to end up doing at the podcast. But now that everything's at least set up again, I can at least get sufficiently mad at myself for not doing when I can just come in. It's just really, it's like impossible to record during the day at the store. There's no way to record at home. Like there's not a lot of great places to do this. But if the next time you hear a VU podcast, I'll either have recorded it at the store after midnight or before 7 a.m. It can really only be one of those two things.
Okay, I could do a guest spot after midnight. I could not do a guest spot.
Right, I know. Well, that's the thing. Like, I just, I don't have a ton of
midnight show. I'd be down to show up for a midnight show. Yeah,
a ton of great options. Well, but even then, the midnight thing I can't even control because the guys in the clothing store next door sometimes they're ripping until like 2 a.m. It's just like the same like reggaeton song. And they're just cutting up, and more power to them. But I can't, like, you would be able to hear everything they were doing and saying if they were there right now. So I don't know. We'll figure something out. But yeah, but I might have to go back to more of a rant, or at least a free form thing where I just do everything in one take instead of trying to do little transitions and break things up. Because people really want to just hear me say how, John Travolta is like one of the worst actors I've ever seen. Oh, really? That's funny. Cut, print. And I don't want to do that just exclusively, but that seems to be.
Well, there's other bad actors.
Oh, there's tons of most acting's not that hard. That's another. There's going to be a whole episode on how acting for screen is really not that hard. Because it's. I mean, I really believe that most people get into acting because they're one of three things. They're either like genetic outliers in terms of attractiveness, they're industry kids, or they're kids of leisure. That's most people in movies. Like, there's not too many people who are like ugly and like came from nothing and like built it from the ground up. It just doesn't happen that often.
There's Hollywood ugly, but that's not the same thing.
Oh no, but even Hollywood ugly is not like Paul Giamatti's not ugly.
Right.
He's not handsome, but he's not ugly. He's talented. I think he's a good actor, but it's not like, it's very few and far between. It's a really.
Well, I feel like he has that great talent of looking like a generic dude.
Yes, his eye bug out is really good, and there are lots of roles for a guy that looks like that. But most people,
he looks like if you watered Steve Buscemi.
See, Steve Buscemi is a really great example of like. I mean, that is a very odd looking man. That is because he had a weird skull before weird skulls were all the rage. Because you're not going to get a Netflix.
Is that all the rage now?
Oh yeah. You're not going to get a Netflix series unless you have a weird skull. The Queen's Gambit woman, Timothy Chalamet, the guy with no face from 1917. Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a guy with no face in that movie.
Well, I mean, the main guy, he looks like if you ask someone to like draw a face, they draw him. He's kind of like you kind of make like a little like U shape and then two dots and then like a little triangle and then a line. That's what he looks like. And that's his face. I mean, I think of it as kind of like not having a face. He's much closer to being like a faceless person than someone with any sort of like identifiable feature. You know who I'm talking about? I can't even think of his name.
Yeah, he'd be like he'd be really good on an FBI wanted list.
Oh he'd be an amazing bank robber. He wouldn't even need to wear a mask because no one would be able to describe this guy. And then he's sort of functional way with George McKay. Is that his name? George McKay.
George McKay.
Faceless.
Oh wow,
it's probably Mackay, but yeah, that guy. You can see that he has no. That's not a face. That's a no face. His. I would say he has an Well, speaking of, I'm looking at his IMDb, and you've got another weird skull in what's his name?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch. He's another weird skull.
Yeah,
he's got a super weird skull. I'm telling you, if you don't have a weird skull, that is the next step in hot Hollywood trends in acting. I'm just telling you, that's where it goes. And again, George McKay, hey, not handsome. Yeah, but his mom was a costume designer and his dad was a stage manager. He's an industry kid. So that's no face plus industry connections. That helps.
When
weird skull industry connections, that now you're getting somewhere.
When is balding Jewish with glasses going to come back into style? Like into
that's really tough. I don't want to burst any bubbles here, but it's it'll probably come back before already bald, portly, Midwestern folksy charm comes back. I don't think that was never a thing. I don't think there's any. I don't think I ever really had a future in this, but that's okay. But just weird skulls. Start looking at the people who are in hot new things. Look at their skull. Look at their jaw lines. Look at where their cheekbones are. Weird skull, weird head shapes. That is where it's like. At right now.
That's it.
Oh yeah. If someone came into the shop with a clearly odd skull and there were at least 5'2" and weighed under 100 pounds, I know a couple of people that work at CAA. I'd probably give them a call. Like, hey, Brian, I got a weird looking person here.
So maybe, that's like how you could
Real
scout
skinny,
when you make the movie version of flatbread pizza.
Oh, right. It's they're flatbread pizza style people. Anyway. So yeah, but people want to hear rants like this. They don't want to hear me actually provide what I felt was like useful information on like genre characteristics. They want to hear me say things like weird skull people are all the rage. And now a word from our sponsor, Squarespace. They'll build you a website. That's what the people are really looking for.
I think Squarespace, they stopped like I haven't heard a lot of Squarespace ads lately. It's all been ads. No, it's all been ads for that like company that sells you like mail order shaving razors for your balls.
Oh, Manscaped, yeah. They're all but honestly, if they're
like, I don't know what that says about like what they think of me or what I've been listening to, but like, like at least 5 times a day, YouTube's telling me to shave my balls.
That their marketing, it's only for guys. That's why you're getting stuff that mostly or exclusively men are watching. And YouTube knows that. And so I get the same stuff and I try to mess with it sometimes. And it's actually pretty effective because all you have to do to get rid of that is watch a whole bunch of like, let me think of a good one. Look up favorite scenes, Easy A. And then all that stuff will just vanish.
I'm talking about like in video advertising. Like I've been watching.
No, I know. I'm saying that's how you get rid of those. You have to mess with the algorithm stuff that like that very few men are actually watching. Go after some random pop culture stuff and then watch like one UFC highlight thing and watch it all just flood back into the zone. It's amazing. I know someone that was an upper level at YouTube and he's like, yeah, our algorithms are simultaneously very sophisticated and really not sophisticated. Like you watch Gordon Ramsay making his favorite recipe for, meatballs. Here's a food ad. Like there's that level. And then there's the hive mind 6-dimensional chess. Like you've been watching a really sad thing. Things that we think are sad. Here's like the travel thing. Like maybe you just need to get away. Maybe like can we bait you on escapism? Can we bait you on like stress eating? He's like the thing that YouTube is worst at is the crazy people and QAnon and hate speech and recruitment. He's like, that's the toughest stuff to stop because it goes so fast and because those people it just spreads so quickly. He's like, they have a lot of time comparatively to track down objectionable content. Like profanity or graphic elements, like they can tag that stuff, but like a white guy just kind of like just lying about all kinds of things, that takes a really long time to finally like filter down to their kind of AI machine language crap and actually stop it.
Right.
So yeah, we're all screwed. We're just totally screwed. So that's good.
And I guess on that note, I don't want you to be late for dinner on our account, but
no, I know. That's my last rant. But the propaganda machine is both self-aware and really lazy. In any case, it's good talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on. Look out for flatbread pizza a week from this Friday. We're doing mac and cheese this Friday. We'll be having we'll have a vegan soup this coming Friday. Always with the coffee drinks, the specialty drinks, smoothies. I could plug the store, but you can find find the website. It's all on there. It doesn't matter.
Stop calling him about the tanning beds. It's not going to happen.
No tanning.
It's not.
I'm anti-tanning. I'm anti-sun. Really.
Don't
Don't go outside. Everyone, stop going outside. Vitamin D is that's a myth.
After Donald Trump, tanning is so 2000 and late.
He's not really. That's all sprayed on. I don't think he's actually getting into tanning.
I think it's mac and cheese powder, honestly.
I mean, it looks like it's whatever. it does look like mac and cheese. I mean, it's probably it's a really orange bronze.
Mm.
Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one.
Thanks for coming on.
See you later.